They realized this is important. Here's an actual slave ship.
Paying homage to the site pays homage to our ancestors.
Water is to give our life, and the water is also to take care of life. Without water, there's no life. I've made over 6,000 dives. You do so many dives, they don't stand out unless it's something unusual. Diving on a slave ship, that's unusual. It all started with the Henrietta Marie.
The Henrietta Marie was an English slave ship. In 1700, after selling 191 enslaved African people in Jamaica, it sailed to the United States. While en route, the ship sank 35 miles west of Key West, Florida. No human cargo was aboard as the ship sunk. The Henrietta Marie acts as a stark reminder of some of the horrors that occurred during the Middle Passage.
The Henrietta Marie is a slave ship, the only slave ship that has been found in North and South America.
Before we started working on the Henrietta Marie, we were diving just a bunch of people get together and enjoy themselves and dive. But that's not the same as diving on a slave ship. They call me Doc. Of course, I am a doctor. I'm a marine biologist, environmental scientist, also a scuba diver. Born and raised in Washington, D.C. The neighborhood that I grew up in was basically majority African American. The neighborhoods only a few blocks away might have been white. Most minority kids didn't have pools. There was always somebody getting too far in the river. Every year somebody would drown. There's a bunch of kids that always come down to the river. We were on the Maryland side. The kids were on the Virginia side. And we heard them screaming. And then one of the little kids went too far in the water and just swept away. And that little girl just screamed and cried. It was just unbelievable. I think it was her brother or somebody. People don't realize if you see a little kid drowning, it takes years to get over that. It really upset us for a long time, you know. They were about the same age as we were, so that could easily have been one of us. I first joined the military in 1951. It was very common for young men to come out of the high school one week and be in the military the next week.
Then you are introduced to the tools of your trade.
On the base where I was, they were teaching what they call combat swimming classes. That was our introduction to both swimming, snorkeling, and scuba diving. Just started saying, oh, this is cool, I can breathe underwater. I've always been around water, or with water. It's always been part of my life, so it was only natural for me to gravitate toward scuba diving. You put your gear on, you jump in the water, you go down and you say, wow. Look at all these colors. Every color imaginable. It's not like you see in the movies. This is different. This is new. It's just breathtaking. So once you learn, you look for water, any kind of water. And you hope you're going to be in some place where you got nice warm water with a good visibility, but it's not always that way. I was deployed to Korea. You don't understand combat till you're in combat. You do all the training you want, but you're not really ready for it. Almost everybody in my unit got wounded. So I got the Purple Heart. It means that you either got wounded, injured, or killed fighting for your country. It also means that you got a whole lot of friends that didn't make it, so you don't like to talk about it.
So this is your first time being at the memorial?
Right.
Wow, okay. Is it just memories?
Yeah.
Okay.
The one thing that bothers most combat veterans
Is it loud noise?
Constant noise.
Yeah, 'cause I remember growing up, my brother and I, whenever we made too much noise, my father would get really upset. Later on, I understood when he told me about the noise in Korea.
You never get used to the noise. And you never get used to getting shot at. Only in the movies. The noise, it never stops. Under the water, it's quiet, very quiet. Diving is quiet and peaceful. Weightlessness is a form of quiet too, because you're quieting the effect of gravity. And I don't like a whole lot of noise. So when I got out of the service, the diving industry became an industry and not just a fad of a bunch of crazy people jumping in the water. It became organized. I went to a trade show, and one of the displays was a booth for scuba divers. So I put my card in the fishbowl they have at every booth, and the gentleman in the booth came to me, asked to give me a card for myself because they had a habit of not getting back to black applicants. He called me, and I started going to the meetings. I liked what I saw, so I joined. The same gentleman said, you know, Jose, you need to start your own club. I said, oh, no, that's, I'll do the diving, I'll train people, but I don't want to start a club. He said, well, we get a whole lot of black potential divers, and no one ever gets back to them, so if you don't do it, who's going to do it? We formed a club called Underwater Adventure Seekers in 1959. Everybody had their favorite name, and that was just one of the names that came up, Underwater Adventure Seekers. There we go, seeking adventure under the water. A lot of clubs named their club after animals of the sea. We wanted to name ours after people. And that's how we got started. And it got a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger. We set out to build a club that was built on pride.
Dr. Jones actually started doing diving under the legacy of segregation. Let's try to imagine who his dive buddies were, or who his dive buddies were not.
I was just a diver having fun. They either admire you for doing it or they hate you for doing it. You got to do twice as much to get half as much. Now, everybody else can't compete with you because they made it so hard for you that you're twice as good as everybody else.
Yeah. Here's your dad in the desert. And here's your dad and me.
Was I the youngest person to ever go on one of your trips?
Yeah, we had very few babies on that trip.
I was either going to leave you home or take you with us. This was your first trip.
I was cute. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You two look like twins.
We do. It's so...
Yeah.
This brother has many dives under your belt. Tell us how many dives you have under your belt. Underwater Adventure Seekers.
We've been every place you can name. We've dived from Australia to Africa, all over the world. So the Underwater Adventure Seekers is one of the oldest clubs in the United States and one of the best traveled clubs in the United States.
It was busy. Very busy.
We had a 1-800 number for the scuba club in our house. In the middle of the night, we're getting calls from places all over the world.
I married scuba diving. Every summer, there was a dive trip.
We didn't really go on family trips in the sense of just the three of us going on a trip. It was always connected to like the scuba world.
Great day, great job. Dr. Jones has created a family within the Underwater Adventure Seekers, a community of black divers. It means everything.
We were doing things that other people didn't do, not just other black people, but other people, period. But it wasn't anything that we considered to be unusual until Henrietta Marie came along. As we went out, the weather started kicking up. But when we got on site, oddly enough, the weather cleared up. The sea just stopped churning. The wind stopped blowing. The ocean got flat. Once we got on site, we still had to find the Henrietta Marie. We noticed that there was a cook stove down there. So we actually dove twice, almost 2 hours, looking for the exact location. And And finally, we found a baseline, and the baseline led us to the stove. Went back up and told everybody to get dressed. And they were more than ready to get dressed because they'd been waiting almost 2 hours. And we had people on the boat that were saying chants and prayers, throwing flowers on the water. And people were actually crying. They felt that our ancestors know that we're here. And so we took them in 2 at a time. You're diving into history. And you're also diving into your own history.
Everything has an origin story. So for me, the Henrietta Marie is the origin story of slavery. The cargo hold of the slave ship is very, very dark. You feel the gravity of the greatest crime committed in the history of the world. At the same time, you feel and you experience the greatest triumph of the human spirit, the resilience.
Anybody in that club could have had ancestors on the Henrietta Marie. It's the first time that a lot of people had ever seen shackles. It's really sad. It's really hard to take. You don't want to disrespect them. They've already lost their lives. Don't take the last thing they got, and that's the respect. After seeing the artifacts and seeing how they affected the people, I started thinking that we need to go out and find these ships ourselves. There are probably hundreds of slave wrecks, but only a handful have been discovered. There's this big ocean out there. We got to pinpoint some places in the world we wanted to go to look for wrecks. I went to all these places myself on my own dime. Cuba, Caribbean Basin, Ghana, Brazil, and Senegal.
In a major discovery, a team, including the Smithsonian, has recovered the first artifacts from a slave ship. After 300 dives, they've found dozens of artifacts, but this may be the most revealing.
This kind of project involved a great deal of international collaboration.
We are really charged, kind of our mission, to tell the story, to bring memory back.
Everybody do a body check.
Yeah, make sure you do a body check.
Good to go, Gail?
Working with the slave ships really re-energized a whole bunch of the divers.
1, 2, 3, bingo.
They wanted to do something important, and this was something important. We have trained approximately 500 people or more to do underwater archaeology.
The first congratulations are for the 4 people who just certified.
We want to welcome them as new club members. Hang it in there.
All right.
Matter of fact, there wasn't any certifications. We wrote the certifications for it. We wrote the textbooks for it. We've trained 10,000 kids to swim. Black kids in the United States are drowning at a much higher rate than the general population.
We have the honor and the privilege to introduce the value of submerged cultural heritage to the next generation. With that, they are becoming stewards of the ocean.
We need to use the Henrietta Marie as a springboard to really face this slavery issue and finally put it to rest.
After that dive, Dr. Jones was transformed. That's when the fire and that interest actually moved forward into action.
Okay, this is your show completely. Only my own concern and your current and bad visibility, and that's the only thing that scares me.
Yeah, but we want to make sure we don't have any of those, just two people, just maybe you on one side, me on the other side, and the rest of those people back.
The Henrietta Marie had already offloaded most of this cargo. That's what they called it. They'd already offloaded the people before it went down. But we knew that the ship had made more than one voyage, back and forth, back and forth. Everybody didn't complete the trip. So as far as we were concerned, the Henrietta Marie was the grave site. So we wanted to make sure that, like any grave site, that you mark it.
We on this day come to this place to honor our African ancestors. Our visit here is testimony that we have not forgotten their suffering in the ocean crossings. We believe the spirits of a multitude of African people who died in transit are still with this sunken vessel.
We said we want to make a plaque and send the message back to Africa. So I figured out a way of raising money by putting the ads in our newsletter. And I explained that we're going to put a plaque down on this slaver that's down in Florida. And the money started coming in, little by little. They realized this is important. Here's an actual slave ship.
Paying homage to the Henrietta Marie site pays homage to our ancestors. And that experience is deeper than just a camaraderie. Every time that you go into the water with another black diver, it's a family reunion. The plaque is facing east towards Africa. It tells our ancestors that we have not forgotten them.
We want to send a message back that we acknowledge the sacrifices that they had made. We know you're here. We thank you for giving us life. We're going to turn this plaque around and send the message back to Africa. That plaque read, Henrietta Marie, in memory and recognition of the courage, pain, and suffering of enslaved African people. Speak her name and gently touch the souls of our ancestors.